Two different times that I battled infertility were seemingly very similar. The same diagnosis, the same causes, the same issues, and the same medicines seem to do what they need to do. But yet they were such different experiences. Because the first time I battled infertility, I was a lukewarm Christian. But this time, I am on fire for God. Welcome back to my channel, Webs of Faith Elevate. My name is Abby, and I'm going to be talking about my faith through infertility. I'll have a video that talks a little bit more in depth about my fertility journey coming soon, but I just quick overview. In 2019 and 2020, we battled infertility our first time. I was just recently diagnosed with PCOS, which kind of started what we did from there to end up getting pregnant. We unfortunately miscarried our first baby at the start of 2020, but at the end of 2020, we conceived our baby, who is now going to be 2.5. Pretty soon, actually. Our second battle started when our daughter turned 1 in 2022, but we did things pretty naturally and pretty loosely all of 2022, and in 2023 we really started to try to go back to getting medical help. Both journeys have been difficult, and I would say this journey has been a little bit more difficult, but there's been a lot more joy and peace in it. This journey has been a little more difficult just because of the fact that I'm having to let go of this idea that I was going to have kids close together. My daughter is approaching 3 and we're not pregnant, and she just gets older, and time doesn't stop. Time doesn't care that we don't have a baby and that their age gap is just getting larger and larger. But that peace and that joy has been such instrumental change into how I viewed this journey. I've been a Christian my entire life since I was 5 years old, but there have definitely been times where I've been a stronger Christian and then a weaker Christian and stronger. And I was definitely in a phase of life where I was a convenient Christian. I was a Christian who would go to church and I would post the things and talk about the Bible verses, and I was a Christian without creating a relationship with Christ. But this time around, I have a very strong relationship with Christ, and church is great and Bible verses are great and posting those things, those are good, but my heart is with God and my heart is in the relationship and not the religion. It is so incredibly difficult to battle through a journey when you want something so bad, you're yearning for it, and then it's just not happening. And then we take these promises that God has given us, that he loves us and he cares for us and he has these plans. And those were all things that I would say, but I never really took to heart. So my favorite verse is Jeremiah 29:11, and I would lean on that, and it'd make me feel better in the moment, but I would never really truly claim that over my life. I would never truly believe that God says what he said. And I love that verse, but I would never truthfully claim it to my life. I would be like, okay, yeah, it's like a good verse, makes you feel good in the moment, but I never really believed that God meant that for me. I'd always believed the idea that God would never give you something that you can't handle. But then as I got closer to God, I realized that, yeah, there are going to be things in life that we can't handle. They are just too hard for us to handle. But he never told us we had to handle them alone. Infertility, miscarriage, all of those things, those are burdens that were too much for me to try to hold on my own and would cause me to lash out or get upset or compare or be just down because I was never leaning on God to get me through the situation. It's kind of cliche, but it reminds me of Philippians 4:13, that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I can get through infertility, and obviously I survived it the first time, but it came with a lot of down and negativity and just hurt. I don't look back at that season of my life with joy or with knowledge that the Lord was moving or working. I claim that, and I know that God was moving and working, but it was just a really dark time in my life. And I'm not saying that I get up now and I'm joyful that I have to take all these medicines or that I have to do all of this tracking just for the potential of a baby, or that I have to go another month with a cycle that came and another reminder that I won't have a little baby in my arms. It doesn't make it easier, but it does make it more peaceful. These aren't things that I can handle or handle well, but if I do lean on God, then I tend to lash out on other people less, which we do know that we are to lean on God. Proverbs 3:5-6 tells us to lean on God, and then he will control our path. I may never know the reason why I have walked through infertility now 2 different times, but I do know that I have the ability to control how I react to it. Just last night we went to church and our pastor was kind of talking about Paul and how he was writing his epistles through why he's in prison, and he's exuding joy. He made the claim that joy is a choice. And to be honest, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to face this point in my life with negativity, because then people don't want to be around me. I don't want to be around me. I don't want to live in a negative space and be down and depressed over a situation that truthfully I can't control. However, when situations are tough or things are hurting and your heart is broken, it can be hard to choose joy when the situation around you is everything you didn't want it to be. It is hard to find the positives. But Nehemiah 8:10 says, "Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength." So if we flip the script and we stop looking at the situation that we're in and we start looking to God and just waiting with joy and hope, knowing that God is going to move some way, and that we start focusing on Him, then it can change how we look at our situation. My situation is no different. It's the same issues with the same medicines and the same symptoms. But I don't have to focus on that. I can focus on what is God going to do, and I can live in this expectancy that God is going to move in great ways. And it may not be the way that I anticipate or think, but I know He's going to move and He's going to do great things in my life. He promises that He is working. And if He's working and He's a good God, then good things are going to happen. But sometimes God allows bad things to happen for His glory. And my husband reminded me of the story. We were kind of talking about why do bad things happen, and telling me about this story in John 9. And it was the story of a blind man that Jesus healed. So there is this belief that if you were blind or deaf or something happened, if you couldn't conceive a baby, it was because you sinned or your parents sinned, which we know that God will not punish you because of your parents. That is in the Bible. But there is this idea around that. So His disciples are asking, they're like, hey, who sinned to make this person like this? And Jesus responds with, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the work of God might be displayed in him. God allows things to happen so His glory is shown. We can see this again in the incredible shrinking army. We see this army and God is like, that's too big. It's not impressive. So He shrinks it. And He's like, it's still too big. It's not as impressive of a defeat. So He shrinks it again. And He does this so that His glory shines brighter than the outcome of the defeat. I'm not going to claim that's the reason I'm walking through infertility, but I would like to believe that God is going to use this story in this situation in powerful ways. And I have an opportunity to go through a hardship, to walk through a season of life that is difficult, and difficult for a lot of people. Infertility is common. 1 in 8 women will struggle with infertility. I have a chance to go through this and to love God and to walk beside Him and to give hope to those who might not have that hope. And that's kind of exciting to know that I have this ability to show God's love and His glory through a situation in my life. When comparing my faith journeys, the one thing that I've realized this time around is that I just have much more faith in God that He's going to move and do great things. And I have a lot less hurt around whatever's going to come from it. If He chooses to not bless me with a baby at the end of this whole journey, then I know that He has a much bigger plan. And that's not an attitude I was able to accept or adopt the first time around. I continually pray a prayer that if God doesn't want me to have a baby, that He will pull the burden of wanting a child off my heart, that He will change my path. But if He does want me to have a baby, then I pray that He continues to help me stay faithful and that I continue to lean on Him. And so far, the burden isn't off. So I'm assuming that a baby is going to be my future. And so I'm going to continue to pray that God continues to bless me and that I can continue to stay faithful, even though this journey is very, very frustrating. I'm going to continue the Faith Through Infertility next week, so I hope you come back to check this out. Please like and subscribe so you're notified every time I post. Have a wonderful week.